No problem. So happy to be with you this morning. Hmm. Hmm. So I think the best thing to do is meditate. That's why we're here. So take your attention inside. And I think today we'll meditate on the elements of the body. Because if we're going to do end of life practices, it's important to recognize the elements and how they dissolve at the end of life. So when that starts to happen to us, we aren't surprised. And we've been practicing for our own release. Because the body dies, if it's a natural death, from the bottom up. So this is the mantra Namah Shivaya Om. So Na is earth, and Ma is water, and She is fire, and Va is Vayu or air, and then Ya is Yama or Akash. And that takes us up to the throat. So that's the elements, and then we dissolve into space. And that is the third eye. And we go out the rainbow body, entrance and exit, Brahmaranda, which is the crown of the head. So let's start by focusing in the perineum. And really, we're focusing because our sex organ covers so much space. We're in that arena. And at the same time, not of it. This, this energy center is about the grounding into the earth. So it's really the ground of our being. So feel into that energy center, and it is distinct from our sexual center, which is more the womb chakra, which is right above that. And in the astral body, there is no differentiation between male and female. You'll notice that almost all of the deities in Hindu philosophy have four arms. And that forearm signatures, two of them are masculine and two of them are feminine. They're, they are all containing all of the energies that make up a human being. As we do too, we have all the same hormones as men, they're just in different amounts. And our anatomy is not that much different. Female is the default, so of course we contain male. And male just has extra testosterone at a certain phase of development, but we all come from the same mold. And we all contain both. It's just a spectrum of where we are on the bell-shaped curve between the two big curves. So feeling into the chakra at the bottom of our torso. This is the earth center. And it's yellow. And these colors will have more meaning as we go deeper into the practice. But for now, it's fine to just have it be yellow. And the syllable is na, N-A. So this is the fundamental ground of our being, our earth center. Take your attention into it and allow all of your attention to focus into that earth energy center. And it's yellow, the color of clay. Maybe another thing is yellow Play-Doh. It's kind of that color. So it's a little bit of a darkish yellow. And as you can feel, this energy center grounds us. It's the ground of our being. So breathe into it and begin to feel for the space between the breaths. And it's low enough that it is in front of the tip of the tailbone. And of course, it occupies that space too. So the coccyx is the little tip of the tailbone that hangs down. And this chakra is part of that, this energy center. And the symbol for this energy center is a square. And the Hindu name for the earth tattva is Prithvi, Prithvi, and that just stands for earth. And tattva is a level of being. It's a quality of energy. The next energy center is the womb center. And you can think of it as very close to being the level of the hips, slightly above. And this is the water center. The syllable is ma. Breathe into this center. The color is silver, like water in moonlight. And the symbol is a crescent, as in a crescent moon, but it's not the moon center. But the crescent has to do with water, and moon also has to do with water. So as we are dying, the earth element is dissolved by the water element in our body. Just feel into this energy center, visualize the color, and take in the information. And now feel into the two lower chakras and feel for the linkage between the two of them using your breath. First, visualize the yellow going to silver. And then a yellow square going to a silver crescent. When you're ready, we'll move to the third energy center, which is just below the belly button. And this is she, or fire. So, of course, it's red. And it's a triangle. And it's the three eyes of the goddess. When you're ready, join the second energy center, the womb center, to the belly button center and back. And you can visualize silver crescent going to red triangle. When you're ready, move up to the heart center. And this is Va or Vayu, which is air. And we'll do the colors and shapes another day. 3 is enough for one session. We'll just concentrate on feeling the energy center in our heart. Feeling into how it feels in the space between the breaths. And then connecting it back and forth to the energy center just below the belly button. When you're ready, feel into the throat chakra. This is the Ya or Yama. And this center is about all the things we've ever said, all the things we've ever eaten, both in the physical world and the energetic world. It's a very good center to spend time clearing. All of us have stuck energy here. Feel for this energy center in the space between the breaths. When you're ready, feel from the heart center to the throat center and back. When you're ready, feel into the third eye. In the center of the head. And you can think of the primordial Om sound in the third eye and opening the top of the head. Feeling into the third eye in between the breaths. And now feel for the connection between the throat center and the third eye. And now for a few minutes at your own pace, starting at the very base of the spine, the very tip of the tailbone, using the mantra Na, Ma, Shi, Bai, Ya, Om. So, with each of these sounds, you'll be guiding your own energy upward through the energy centers. And of course, it's a silent internal practice. And you can do it at your own pace with one breath for each energy center, or however it feels right to you. So we're going to practice that on our own for a few minutes now. when you feel ready. And there's nothing that says you have to be ready. Can gently holding your attention inside, gently begin to open your eyes. And be in two places at once. We're so happy to be here with you today. So how's everybody doing?
I, I just want to say thank you and how much I appreciate guided meditation with you in a group. I spend so much time alone and my solo meditations are fine, but I'm ADHD pretty severely. It gets worse as I get older. I can't keep up with it. So it kind of keeps me, your guided meditations keep me more centered and grounded and on track. And thank you for that a lot.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's also, my experience that if I have a practice that I can put my attention on, it's it's much easier to feel into the energy centers and befriend them over time than trying to do it in a vacuum alone. Because these centers are very real and they take a fair amount of cultivation over time. And I'm not going to pretend that I understand the death and dying practices, that I understand the dissolution of the body. I'm just beginning to study it. And I have a teacher who I think is well versed in it. So it's coming. And I think it's very important to be honest about my own level of expertise and not pretend to know things I don't. At the same time, I think it's important to begin preparing for death with whatever information we do have. And going with it. So it'll come as it comes. You know, there's a good book that Pema Chodron wrote about death and dying that maybe we could look at together if you're interested. And she talks quite a bit about the Bardo and the Bardo practices. And it's very similar to Chud practice, which we did for a number of years in the center where we lived. And that there are 5 Buddha families, and each of the families has certain attributes, colors, symbols that go with the energy centers, and certain patterns of behavior, patterns of emotions that are associated with each family. And she goes through each one pretty thoroughly. I'll give you the name of the book next week. It has escaped for the moment. One thing, everything I've read about the Bardo says that there are numerous points in the experience where if you have the capacity to release yourself into well, for want of a better word, into the all of the all that is. Without what they call ego clinging, which is any attachment we have to having a body. And given that all most of us know is being alive in body, that's kind of a tall order. Which is why practicing is important. And coming to the understanding that we are fundamentally energetic beings and experiencing ourselves in that as that. And trusting ourselves as that. Which is trusting life itself. Does that make sense? I was just checking to see that we're recording. We are. I was just thinking it would be a shame to not have recorded that meditation. Hmm.
I was wondering if you've ever met a death doula.
Uh, yes, I know at least one. I haven't had conversations about any of them, about what their training is and and uh, what their practice is with people. So the answer is really no. My sense is that what most death doulas do is try to create an atmosphere of ease and well-being for the person's passing. You know, we had practices that we did for probably nearly a decade in the ashram where I lived, where we had a practice called POA, which is the transference of energy from this plane to a much higher one, which we did rigorously and often for ourselves and for anybody who passed. And that practice is quite interesting. It is about sending the energy out the top of your head. For some political reason, the practice, we always did the practice in Tibetan, even though we had an English translation. We were never allowed to translate it into a poetic English version that would kind of match the intention of the Tibetan version. Which I was always sorry that never happened. It would make it much more accessible. But I can tell you that when Lama Wandu when he passed, uh, Andrew and I were both aware of it. And there was incredible light that came to both of us at that time. And he's the one who taught us these practices, the Chud and Poa. And we practiced in cremation grounds for about 8 years. So we worked with these practices quite a bit. And they're the same Buddha families that Pema Chodron talks about as what they are our behavior tendencies. And her point is that each one of the families has a tendency that we can identify with. And there's one particular family that is our sort of core nature of the obstructive quality that keeps us present on the earth and coming back. And so that it's important to be aware of that and work with it so that it doesn't magnetize us back to the same realm in the next lifetime. The point being that whatever we haven't mastered will bring us back to master in the future. But I'm not interested in pretending to have mastered something I haven't. So even though I've touched these practices, mastery doesn't exactly feel like it has occurred. And I think it's important to acknowledge that until it's true, until the mastery has really arrived. At the same time, as long as I'm a page ahead, I'm happy to share what whatever energetic gifts I've been given. So I can say that Lama Wandu was definitely the real thing. That's the point of that story, is that he was a master of those teachings. He did not know English, so we were at the mercy of translators, although his energy was not limited by language. So practicing with him was a very valuable experience for a decade or so. And, I have to give credit to our teacher. We started out as a Hindu based practice, and he realized that the Buddhist practices actually were part of a continuous lineage that encompassed the Hindu lineage, even though they, in some ways, had some different emphasis, that really they came from the same source and were about the same information, just a slightly different delivery system, but energetically exactly the same. And the practices that I am now associated with are same blend of Hindu and Buddhist, because they overlap, just like, they're, you can't separate them, and the Buddhist traditions have been articulated way more thoroughly. And what's different is that the Hindu practices talk about consciousness being a fullness, and the Buddhist practices talk about emptiness. And they're really talking about the same thing. They're talking about clarity that is empty of ideas and full of pregnant energy. And so the, it's the same. It's the same. But it can sound like very different things from an intellectual perspective. So what I'm saying is we're going to make this journey together. Mm, same. Very happy to be with you. Just looking at the clock. I let's just sit together some more because the energy is so beautiful this morning. It's just so nice to be with you. Thank you so much for being here today. It's so beautiful to sit with you. Till next week. Bye for now.